In this video, I'll explain the drama called Legend of the Blue Sea. In 1598, which was during the Joseon era, a mermaid was found by residents after being blown away by a storm. Mr. Yang, a village official, intends to extract the mermaid's oil, which its savor is extremely rare. However, his plans are foiled when the new mayor, Ryung, releases the mermaid back into the sea, after threatening Mr. Yang with the tax mistakes that had been made. Of course, it made Mr. Yang hate the mayor, and he plans to get the mermaid back without him knowing. Siwa is grateful to Ryung for setting her free. She puts out her hand without saying anything, and Ryung greets her. An old person said that if a human falls in love with a mermaid, that person will have a bad life, and that bad life will keep happening over and over again. Far in the future, a con man named Junjae goes to Spain after successfully defrauding a woman named Jeo. There, he met a mermaid who had been washed up on shore and then snuck into his hotel. Junjae called the police on Chong at first, but he let her go when he found out that the bracelet Chong was wearing was very old and very expensive. Then Junjae takes Chong to a mall and gives her shoes and clothes. This was done to get the chance to take Chong's bracelet. Junjae leaves Chong alone after getting the bracelet. For no apparent reason, Junjae returns and he takes Chong with him. In the past, Siwa had previously returned to the land to meet Ryung. Siwa finally speaks up and expresses her gratitude to him for saving her. Siwa has something to say to him about the past and plans to see him again. Meanwhile, Mr. Yang sent out a messenger to track Ryung's movements. Chong is interested in Junjae's laptop. She learned how to talk and act in the drama while she watched it until morning. At the same time, Jeo sends her men to kill Junjae because she now knows that she was tricked. But Junjae was able to get away because Chong used action moves from the drama she was watching to help him beat Jeo's men. Then Junjae goes to his friend to ask for help getting money because Jeo's men have taken everything he owns. Then he took Chong to a place he called the end of the world. On the way, Junjae tells Chong about Seoul and says that one day he will take her there. When Junjae gets there, he talks about his past. In that place, he was separated from his mother after his parents decided to divorce. Junjae still hasn't found out where his mother is. Jeo's men came out of nowhere and pushed Junjae and Chong to the edge of a cliff. Since there is no other way out, Chong then takes Junjae to jump into the ocean until he drowns. Junjae dimly sees that Chong is changing into a mermaid. Junjae dimly sees Chong's true form turning into a mermaid. Not wanting Junjae to know who she really is, Chong then erases Junjae's memories of her. Then he takes Junjae to the beach and gives him the bracelet that he had given back earlier. In the past, Ryung and Siwa met again. There, Siwa keeps her promise to talk about the past. 20 years ago, it turned out that Siwa saved Ryung from drowning. From then on, they saw each other more often until Ryung got engaged to someone else. This made Siwa sad, so she left him. However, Ryung was willing to leave his wife and then went to drown himself so that he can meet Siwa again. Siwa saves Ryung again, but she erases his memory. Ryung finally knows why he was so eager to save Siwa. After realizing Junjae returned to Seoul, Chong sees Junjae leaving from a distance, and she finally decides to swim after him. When Junjae gets to Seoul, Namdu and Taeo are living at his house. They hide from Jeo's men who are after them. Later that night, Namdu asks about the ancient bracelet and the woman he met while in Spain. Namdu's question leaves Junjae confused as his memory of Chong has been erased. After that, Junjae keeps dreaming about the figure of Chong, which makes him very curious. 3 months later, Chong finally arrived in Seoul. She meets a homeless woman there who tells her where Junjae lives. At the same time, Junjae, Namdu, and Taeo all work with Jeo to solve their problems. Chong is still looking for Junjae's location with the closest address that the homeless woman gave her until she arrives at an aquarium. That day is also Junjae's birthday, where Junjae has a habit of going to the aquarium on his birthday. This was done to help him remember the good times he had with his mother in the past. At the same time, Thomas sent a photo of him with Chong while in Spain, until finally they met at that place. In the past, Siwa went up to the land to meet Ryung. She took the clothes, replacing them with pearls. The news was heard by Ryung and Mr. Yang and his mistress. Then Mr. Yang told everyone a bad rumor about Siwa that scares them. Mr. Yang then ordered his men to find Siwa and kill her, but Ryung came along and saved her. In the future, Junjae's stepmother tells Dae-young to look for Junjae. This is done so that her husband doesn't meet Junjae and so that Junjae doesn't get his inheritance. Seo-ki instructs Dae-yeon to go to the aquarium in order to locate Jun-jae. Meanwhile, Jun-jae brings Chon to his house so he can tell him what happened 3 months ago while in Spain. On the way, he notices that Dae-yeon is following his car, but Jun-jae is able to get Dae-yeon to lose track of him. When Jun-jae gets home, he shows Chon a bracelet and asks what happened 3 months ago. Chon didn't say anything, though, until she was finally told to leave. But when Namdoo heard that Chon has an ancient item at his house, he told her not to go. This is where she got the name Chon, which means very stupid. Not long after that, a woman named Sia came to the place. Her arrival was to celebrate Jun-jae's birthday. Sia is the reincarnation of Dum-reum's dead wife. She also works as a researcher, looking into an ancient jar with a picture of a mermaid kissing a human on it. Dae-yeon, on the other hand, is still looking for Jun-jae until he kills one of the men who rebukes him for his actions of marking every house he has visited. He kept looking for Jun-jae's house until he finally found it and met Chon. Not far from that place, Jun-jae is blocked by the police who are investigating the murder case committed by Dae-yeon. The police are also looking for Jun-jae for the fraud case he has been doing. In the past, Dum-reum killed Mr. Yong's men and brought Siwo to his house. Without them knowing it, one of Mr. Yong's people saw it and told Mr. Yong what he saw. The next day, a man was found dead on the beach. The man had previously come to scold Mr. Yong because the man's business was disrupted by his actions. But doctors haven't been able to say for sure that the man has died. The next day, the mistress and the locals went to Dum-reum's house to tell him that a mermaid was to blame for the man's death. When Dum-reum heard what was going on at his house while he was writing, he was shocked. Si was looking at the jar that Dum-reum drew after he dreamed that their reincarnated selves would meet again in the future. Suddenly, the door of the room opens, and at the same time in the future, Jun-jae breaks through the police guard and meets Chon right away. In the end, Jun-jae was able to stop Dae-yeon from doing bad things and stay away from the police by using his hypnotic skills. Then Dae-yeon tells Seo-hee where Jun-jae lives, and Chi-yeon listens in. Then Chi-yeon uses the cell phone his mother left to find out where Jun-jae lives. The next day, Jun-jae tells Chon to leave because she doesn't want to talk about what happened in Spain when they met. Jun-jae then gives Chon his cell phone so that Chon can call him if he wants to talk about their meeting the day before. Before she leaves, Chon tells Jun-jae that if she wants to see him when it snows for the first time, she will tell him everything. When it finally started to snow, Chon ran to Namsan Tower, where he had planned to meet Jun-jae. On the way, Chi-yeon hit Chon with his car, which knocked her out. Meanwhile, Jun-jae has arrived at the tower and is waiting for her. In the past, Dom-ho helped Siwa get away from Mr. Jang's concubine while she was being chased. Unfortunately, their location is known, which makes Dom-ho fall off the cliff. Dum-reum just got there and saw that her room was a mess. He also couldn't find Siwa. He then went to look for her in the forest. Dum-reum's feelings from the past have something to do with Jun-jae in the future. Jun-jae then looks for Chon and finds him in the hospital. Jun-jae calls the doctor because Chon's heart rate and body temperature are dropping. While the doctor is examining Chon, Jun-jae holds his hand. This makes Chon's heart start beating again. She then wakes up and calls his name. Namdoo hears the doctor talking about Chon surviving even though there is no hope while he is taking care of the administration. Outside, Jun-jae hears that Chon was hit by Chi-yeon. Jun-jae says that Chi-yeon was trying to hurt Chon on purpose, and he also finds out that his stepmother sent Dae-yeon to follow him. Then Jun-jae told Chi-yeon to never show up in front of him again. The next day, Mr. Choi goes to the hospital to meet Jun-jae. He tells Jun-jae that his father needs to see him. While they are unaware, Dae-yeon is keeping an eye on them. While elsewhere, Namdoo meets Sia and tells of the accident that Chon had. With the abilities she had, Chon recovered quickly and she was finally allowed to go home. Then Jun-jae takes Chon out of the hospital and goes somewhere with her. Meanwhile, Namdoo asks for Chon's examination file at the hospital. Elsewhere, Seo-hee hears Mr. Choi and Il-jum's conversation about their planned meeting with Jun-jae through the wiretapping device he installed. Seo-hee then tells Dae-yeon to take care of Mr. Choi so that their plan fails. At that place, Jun-jae asks about Chon's love confession he always hears in his head, but he can't remember. But Chon again did not answer the question. In the past, Dum-reum took her friend to a healer for treatment. Dum-reum finds out that Mr. Yeon's bodyguard is the cause of his friend's sickness, so he hides Siwa. Dum-reum caught Mr. Yeon and his mistress the next day for killing a man the day before. It turned out that the poison that Mr. Yeon put in the man's drink was what killed him. Dum-reum puts a sword to the neck of the mistress and asks her to show him where Siwa is hiding. When Dum-reum finds out where Siwa is, he sets her free and throws the pearls that he got from Siwa to the residents. Then, Dum-reum takes Siwa somewhere else while telling her about his dream. He said that they would meet again in the next life. In the future, Junjae dreams about Dumreem's friend falling off a cliff. He also dreams of going back to his childhood, when Choi's secretary took care of him. Then he woke up and tried to call Mr. Choi, but no one answered. It turns out that Dae-young caused Mr. Choi's car to crash, and then deleted the footage from the dash cam in his car. The next day, Il-jong hears that Mr. Choi was drunk and got into an accident. Hearing that, Chi-yeon looked at Seo-hee suspiciously. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Nam-do goes to the doctor to ask for Chon's examination results. After that, he went to Sia to talk about what had happened at Chon's examination. They were both confused by how fast Chon recovered after being hurt by an ordinary human. Not long after that, Sia heard that one of her friends found out information about the jar's owner. Her friend told him that the jar belonged to a man named Dumryu. Nam-do is surprised when he hears Sia talking. He has a feeling that Chon's bracelet, which has Dumreem's name on it, has something to do with it. Elsewhere, Chon accidentally meets Yong-hoon, who is also a mermaid who has lived on the land. Yong-hoon then tells her that mermaids can only leave the ocean for a certain amount of time. Their hearts will harden and beat again if there is someone who loves them. Yong-hoon then asks Chon's purpose of coming ashore. After hearing Chon's answer about Junjae, Yong-hoon then suggests Chon to make Junjae jealous. With the pearls they produced, Chon changes his appearance, then returns to Junjae's house with Yong-hoon. This seems to have worked to make Junjae jealous. Nam-do asks Junjae to show him the bracelet Chon is wearing. He says that he has to check the bracelet because it has Dumreem's name on it, just like an old jug that Sia is investigating. But Junjae refuses and will return the bracelet to Chon one day. Chon decides to go swimming because there is no one at home. Yong-hoon told Chon that the woman he used to love left him when he found out what he really looked like. He also tells Chon to be careful so that Chon doesn't end up like him. Suddenly, Junjae comes back to pick up his left phone, and he sees Chon in the pool. Chon yells at Junjae to turn his face away until finally Chon quickly gets out of the pool so her identity remains safe. Junjae, who originally intended to retrieve his lost cell phone, rushed to tell Nam-do and Tae-oh to ring the bell before entering the house. This was done so that neither of them would have the same thing happen to them as he did. That night, Dae-young sends a message to Junjae on Choi's phone. He tells Junjae where to meet him. Chong asks Junjae how he feels at the same time. Chong wants to know if Junjae plans to love her in the future. This is what Chong wants to know because Yong-hoon, a friend of hers, is dying because his love for someone else went wrong. Junjae hasn't said anything, though, which is making Chong even more worried. In the book, it is written if Dumreum dies at the age of 27 years, or the day of death will occur in 20 days. Chong, meanwhile, cried when she read the sad ending to the story of The Little Mermaid. At the same time, the woman Yong-hoon had been in love with for a long time came and started crying because she had left him. This made Chong worried that if Junjae didn't love her back, she would end up like Yong-hoon. In another place, Junjae meets Dae-young at the place Dae-young told him about. Seeing something strange, Junjae contacts Nam-do and Tae-oh to help him if something happens. Chong calls at the same time and sounds sad, which makes Junjae worry. Dae-young suddenly shows up with a hammer, and they start fighting. Junjae then goes to Chong's place, then says that one day he will love Chong and asks her not to leave. In the past, Siwoo made the decision to go back to the sea so that Dumreum wouldn't get in trouble. While Junjae, Nam-do, and Tae-oh are looking for Dae-young, Shi-yeon calls him to inform him that his uncle is seriously injured. Then, Junjae takes Chong with him to the hospital. He met his father there. But because of memories from the past, Junjae just left and didn't care about what Il-jung was talking about. After coming back from the hospital, Junjae feels bad about leaving his father alone. But Chong makes him calm down and Junjae is happy again. Sia arrives with the news of the site of the Dumreung family's house having been found. Again, Dumreung sees that in his dream, and he leaves something for Junjae to find out if Dumreung is his past self. Dumreung leaves his painting and writings about the past repeating itself, and he asks his future self to protect the woman who comes to him, who is Chong. The next day when Chong brought Yoona home, suddenly Junjae could hear the voice of Chong's heart. In the same way, Yoona has always been able to hear her heart. Then Chong took Yoona to her room to see if she could hear her heart. Chong asked Yoona not to tell anyone if she was different, and Yoona was able to hear her heart. Junjae, Nam-do, and Tae-oh take Chong to commit fraud against Jinjuo, but their plan fails because they find out that Sia lives in the house. Tae-oh buys them time so that they can run away. Tae-oh is forced to admit that he has liked Sia. Chong finally understands what they have been doing. She was angry, and she said to herself. When Junjae heard about it, he tried to get Chong to reveal her secret. Without Chong knowing, she says that she is a mermaid. Jun-jae is reminded of the artifacts and of all the times he spent with Chong. Chong, who is already disappointed to find out about Jun-jae's work, runs away from home and goes to the sauna accompanied by Chi-yeon, who accidentally meets her. Mr. Yang was freed in the past, and now Dum-ryung will be sent away because Mr. Yang said that Dum-ryung was hiding a mermaid, which made the residents in the area upset. Chong is in the sauna, and Jun-jae finds her there and tries to take her home. But she doesn't want to do that until Jun-jae says she won't lie to people again. Chi-yeon tells Jun-jae that their father is sick when he leaves. However, Jun-jae told Chi-yeon to take care of him because Chi-yeon has been acting like he was his biological son. This is also one of the reasons why Jun-jae left his home. Since Jun-jae can't take Chong home, he stays in the sauna to take care of her. Because Jun-jae is too overprotective, he is sent home by another visitor who is disturbed by his actions. At the same time, Detective Kim finds out a new clue about Dae-young. Then they track a woman whose name is Ji-yeon, because the woman has a close relationship with Dae-young. The two cops discover new facts about Ji-yeon. Once, the woman killed her husband by making his eyes go blind and getting him heart complications. Yu now goes to Chong and asks Chong to come to the stage to replace her parents. Chong is accompanied by Jun-jae, Nam-do, and Tae-oh then comes to watch the show. Not far from there, it turns out that Dae-young is disguised as a taxi driver spy on them. Unfortunately, Jun-jae was arrested by the police on Dae-young's report. In a moment, Chong gets into a taxi and Dae-young takes her somewhere. Jun-jae, who feels there is something wrong, orders the police to follow Chong's car. Using his analytical skills, he manages to save Chong and bring her home. At home, Jun-jae asks the two police officers to help him get Dae-young arrested on bail. After that, the police could do whatever they wanted with him. In the sense that Jun-jae can be useful to them, the two policemen agree to cooperate with him. That night, Chong keeps thinking about Jun-jae, which makes Jun-jae disturbed to the point of having insomnia. On the other hand, Jun-jae feels happy because Chong keeps thinking about him. Chi-yeon overhears about her father's will that will be given all to Jun-jae. He also asked Seo-him who his real father was, but Seo-hee didn't answer his son's question. Elsewhere, Tae-oh is confused because Sia still thinks that he really likes her. Yu-run accidentally sees Il-jung in the hospital with So-hee. However, Il-jung doesn't recognize her because his eyes are getting worse. It turns out that So-hee first went to her house and asked for a job. Eventually, So-hee took her husband and got them divorced. Chong still thinks about Jun-jae every night until finally Jun-jae calms her down and stops her from thinking anything strange about him. So, he orders her lawyer to change Jun-jae's name to her name and Chi-yeon's name in Il-jung's will. The lawyer then brings a witness for Il-jung to sign the amended will. Because his eyesight was getting worse, without any suspicion the letter was signed. Jun-jae helps Detective Kim look into the car Dae-young left behind when he kidnapped Chong. But Dae-young didn't leave any sign of himself in the car or at that place. Then Jun-jae remembers where Chong was being held because Dae-young must have left fingerprints on the water barrel he filled earlier. At the same time, Jun-jae was reminded of his dream about Mr. Yang in the past. Elsewhere, Sia takes Yu-run to Jun-jae's house to make dishes that Jun-jae likes. Yu-run meets Chong, and they know each other right away because Chong helped Yu-run after she was robbed. Sia finally found out that Yu-run was Jun-jae's mother when she saw a picture of Jun-jae as a child and the same picture in Yu-run's room. Sia took Yu-run home right away because she had been bad to her the whole time. Jun-jae asks Dae-young why he put water in the tank when he took Chong. There, he finally learns that Dae-young is the reincarnation of Mr. Yang. In a different place, Il-jung is taken to the hospital after falling down the stairs. Chi-yeon sees that her mother did this, but he doesn't want to report it. In his sleep, Il-jung keeps mentioning Jun-jae, which makes Chi-yeon sad. Seeing her son like that, so he called Dae-young and told him to kill Jun-jae right away. The following day, Jun-jae goes to see his regular psychiatrist to see if his dream about Dum-ryung and Siwa's come to an end. In the past, it turned out that Mr. Yang killed Dum-ryung and Siwa. It turns out that Jun-jae and Dae-young both often go to the same psychiatrist to see their dreams. There, he hears Jun-jae and the doctor talk about how Dum-ryung and Siwa's story ends, and Jun plans to stop this bad thing from happening. Then, Jun-jae meets Chong and gives her everything she wants. They then went to eat, play, and watch a movie together. Jun-jae talks about the end of the Titanic story they watched. If the story happened to them, will Chong continue to live and live her life happily? But Chong didn't answer his question, and that made him mad. At the same time, Dae-young goes back to the psychiatrist to find out what happened at the end of his story. He also said that Dum-ryung and Siwa's deaths were not his faults. While Il-jung was away, Shi-yeon took over as company leader. Jun-jae goes to the hospital to see his uncle and ask him a question. He finally learns that Dae-young was responsible for injuring his uncle. Shi-yeon suddenly walks in and says that he is in charge of the company right now. Jun-jae doesn't know what's going on with Il-jung, so Chi-yeon tells him that Il-jung is on vacation with his friends. Even so, Jun-jae doesn't care and leaves Chi-yeon. Yu-run is angry because she found out that Jun-jae ran away from home 10 years ago. She went to her old house and asked what was really going on. She also said that she would move her son back to where he should be. He is angry about this and wants to kill Yu-run. But Chong saves Yu-run once more. Detective Kim tells Jun-jae that Dae-young often goes to his regular psychiatrist, which is a place he often visits. They also go to the place and ask the doctor to get in touch with them if Dae-young returns. Shi-yeon goes to Jun-jae's house to meet Chong and invites her to eat at the same time. That night, Chong tells Jun-jae that her health is getting worse because she has been on the mainland for too long. Jun-jae tells Nam-do and Tae-oh to leave Chong alone for a while so she can swim. But Nam-do, who's interested in Chong, comes back and sees Chong as a mermaid. However, Chong manages to erase Nam-do's memory of the incident, leaving Nam-do confused with his memory, and continues to talk about it while eating. The fact that Jun-jae is still mad at Chong about the previous question makes Chong want to talk to him about it. It turns out that Chong can't live if Jun-jae dies. That's why she can't answer Jun-jae's question. Jun-jae then said what Chong was thinking, and she was shocked to learn that Jun-jae had been able to read her thoughts all along. In the end, Jun-jae apologized for his question and things went back to normal. Then Jun-jae takes Chong to an art show where Dum-ryum's paintings are on display. Jun-jae lies to Chong about the ending of Dum-ryum's bad story being the happy ending. Elsewhere, Seo-hee meets Yu-run at Jinju's house. At that place, Jinju finally found out that Seo-hee had ruined Yu-run's household. Detective Kim finally finds out Chi-yeon's background after Nam-do traces it. Nam-do gets Chi-yeon's school file first, and it becomes evident to trace Chi-yeon more. At the same time, Chi-yeon tries to kill Mr. Choi because he told Jun-jae who caused the accident. But Dae-young stopped him, and Mr. Choi was able to get back home safely. The next day, Chom talks about birthdays out of the blue. She also holds a party, and she will invite Yu-run, Yuna, and the homeless woman. Until finally, Yu-run met with Jun-jae for the first time after separating 10 years ago. They also celebrate Chon's birthday and celebrate Jun-jae's meeting with his mother. Jun-jae's meeting with Yu-run changes new facts about Ji-yeon. Jun-jae called Detective Kim right away to have Ji-yeon, who turned out to be his stepmother, arrested right away. But Detective Kim couldn't do that because he didn't have enough proof to make an arrest. Jun-jae meets Ji-yeon to ask, is his father really going abroad with his friend? With the help of Detective Kim, they look into Il-jung's departure, but they can't find any information about his flights. When Jun-jae found out this, he asked Nam-do and Tae-oh to help him check out his house. Jun-jae doesn't know that Chom also helps them. Now it was time to sneak into Il-jung's house. At that place, Jun-jae gets some proof while trying to put a tapper in one of the rooms. Jun-jae is trying to get him out of the house, but Il-jung doesn't want to do that. Instead, he wants to trust his wife. The housekeeper calls Chi-yeon because she is suspicious about something. Tae-yeon, who'd been watching them, tried to catch Chom, but he failed and had to lose his memory. At the same time, Chom realizes that Dum-ryum and Siwa's story ends tragically, which is different from what Jun-jae told him the other day. Knowing that she is in danger, Seo-hee contacts Dae-yeon and wants his help to kill Jun-jae and Yu-run right away. Dae-yeon, however, can't remember anything. So he then gave Il-jung a poison flower potion to get rid of him faster. Realizing that his life is in danger, Il-jung calls Jun-jae while apologizing for what he has done so far, until finally, he had to die from the poison that Seo-hee put in his drink. Shi-yeon cleans up the evidence and calls the police while acting sad about Il-jung's death. Shi-yeon then goes to Nam-do and offers him a big reward to help him get rid of Jun-jae. Nam-do agrees to Chi-yeon's invitation. While in the past, Mr. Young introduces his son to Nam-do. Detective Kim searches for proof that Il-jung is dead, but he can't find it. But after reading Seo-hee's memory, Chon tells them where the proof is hidden. Seo-hee was taken to the police station at the end so that she could be interrogated. But Seo-hee didn't say anything because his lawyer told her not to. This kept Detective Kim from putting Seo-hee in jail. This was because Seo-hee was arrested without permission from Kim's boss. In the end, Seo-hee is no longer being held by police. After that, Nam-do knocked Jun-jae out and took him to a place they had planned ahead of time. Tae-oh doesn't know that he and Chon watched the action on CCTV. Then, the two of them run after him. Nam-do holds Jun-jae hostage and gives him the injection that Chi-yeon gave him before. After that, Namdoo kicked Shiyan out so he could be with Junjae. That's when Seo-hee confessed all her actions to Junjae to make Junjae mad at her. Without her knowing it, Detective Kim and his members hid in that place and recorded her confession. Namdoo had been using Shiyan all along so that he could show how bad Seo-hee was. In the past, Namdoo was the son of the man that Mr. Yang killed the other day. He disguised himself as Mr. Yang's soldier, which is only to avenge his father's death. In the end, so he and Shiyan are taken to the police station. Tae-oh and Chom, on the other hand, just got there. Shiyan, who won't give up, fights with the police, takes a gun from one of them and shoots Junjae. When Chom saw that, she runs straight toward Junjae, and in the end, it was her who got shot. Chom is taken right away to the hospital for surgery. Shiyan and her mother are taken to a different police station. On the way, Shiyan drank the poison he had made for Jim, which killed him on the spot. Chon recovers quickly despite receiving very severe injuries. The incident made doctors at the hospital excited and will investigate the oddity. Junjae, who doesn't want Chon's identity to be exposed, disguises himself as a doctor and deletes Chon's medical records. After that, he took Chon home after leaving the maintenance fee on her bed. Dae-yeon goes back to see a psychiatrist and wants to kill him. Suddenly, Junjae, along with Namdoo and detectives, came to the place because they had previously been contacted by the psychiatrist. In the end, Dae-yeon is caught, so the killings can stop. At home, Chon feels her body is getting worse. She decides to return to the sea after erasing all memories of the people she has known, except for Yuna, who is the daughter of a mermaid and a human. Since Chon left, Namdoo, Tae-oh, and Jun lives' days have changed. Junjae is now a prosecutor at the company he used to work for. Namdoo is a tax talker, and Tae-yeon is still a hacker and is getting married to see if 3 years later, Chom returns to the land and meets Junjae. Junjae's erased memory is successfully preserved through the book he previously wrote about Chon. In the end, they decided to get married and live happily in their new residence on the beautiful coast.